Thanks for sticking with us here on Weather Center Live. I'm meteorologist Kait Parker.
And I'm Jennifer Lopez. All eyes on Texas on the coast as Tropical Storm Bill is inching its way closer and impacting tens of millions of people right now. Michael and Kate.
Yeah, you know, here with hurricane specialist Michael Lowry and taking a look at this. I mean, we are so close to landfall.
Yeah, and it really doesn't matter because look at this rain band that's offshore. The worst of the weather hasn't even got on shore yet. You know, we're checking in with Dave Malkoff in Port Lavaca. Stephanie Abrams is up here in the Galveston area, and I think we do have Stephanie. Stephanie, hey, how are things there? You know, you guys are just kind of coming out of a high tide. How did you fare at the high tide?
Well, Michael Lowry.
Yeah, you know, so we're talking about landfall imminent on this system.
Yeah, this is this information that we have here is a little dated. We're not getting those hourly radar estimates from the Hurricane Center because the center just not all that defined on the radar, but it's there. It's definitely there, and it's close to making landfall, but it doesn't matter so much, Kate, because look at the weather. Look at the reds and the oranges over land, and look at the reds and the oranges offshore. Most of this weather hasn't even come on shore yet, so I don't really care about landfall. It's going to make landfall, that's fine. But we got 24, 48, even 72 hours to have to deal with the remnants of this as it moves up into parts of North Texas.
Such a good point. Such a good point to drive home. I think a lot of folks waking up this morning and saying, hey, this isn't all that bad. We've got a lot to come.
We really do. And this is a bona fide tropical storm. I mean, the 60-mile-per-hour winds are absolutely there. We've already seen the high wind gusts, but it's not so much about the rain, the wind. It's really more about the rainfall. This big, heavy rain band that's rotating on shore. And the problem here is that these rain bands set up over the same areas. They train over the same areas like boxcars on a train, and that's what produces the flash flooding that we get from these tropical systems.
This is another thing that we mentioned very briefly before, is that there's actually a heightened chance of tornadoes as well.
There is.
Really in this quadrant as these bands come on shore.
Yeah, the center of it, Kate, is somewhere in here. And remember, landfall technically is when the center of the center, so probably this, crosses over land, which will probably be here within the next hour or two. But on the right side of that, typically on the front right side, the front right quadrant, that's where you get the highest wind shear. The low-level wind flow is coming from the southeast. The upper-level winds, the anticyclone aloft is making the winds go in the opposite direction aloft. That's creating that rolling motion that can enhance the tornado threat. And we do think there's going to be a tornado watch issued at some point for parts of Texas from the Storm Prediction Center.
But there's a lot of water here, right, that's being pushed. I think we had high tide here recently in a few spots.
We did.
What are you thinking about water inundation?
Already we've seen flooding, up to 3 feet of flooding in some areas, which I'll show in just a second. Even all the way up here in Galveston and Galveston Bay, and this is away from where the center is, and that's all due to that strong onshore flow. The tide we were at a high tide earlier this morning. We're now going into a low tide. But the difference in tides here in the Gulf of Mexico isn't like it is up in the Northeast. You're seeing some of the pictures of the water pushing ashore. The tide difference is only about 1.5 feet in most places, 1.5 feet to 2 feet. So we'll probably continue to see that coastal flood threat through the day today, and the tides are going to be slow to come down. You can see 3 feet of flooding already now, currently in progress down farther along the coast. Dave Malkoff was in Port Lavaca. They got a little over 2 feet of coastal flooding there. And Kate, I'm really looking too, not just along the Gulf Coast here, but along the back bays here that you get in Matagorda Bay, Port Aransas, and Aransas Bay. Those areas will be susceptible to flooding over the next few hours.
And half of deaths that happen, happen from storm surge. And then the second most deaths during tropical cyclones from the rainfall.
Inland flooding. 90% of deaths in tropical cyclones, Kate, are from drowning. It's really the water. Today, if you're living in any of these areas, stay off the road. If you don't need to be on the road, don't go on the road, especially the coastal roads. Let's play this out for everyone really quickly, Kate. All of this moisture and rainfall headed up into even parts of North Texas come Wednesday and even into Thursday.
But you'll see that still hangs out down here. That's really concerning. Yep. All right.
Houston and over into Galveston throughout the morning.
Yeah, it's that tropical rain. It's going to be really thick, heavy rain that is soaked through all layers there. So I'm meteorologist Kait Parker. Thanks for staying with us here on Weather Center Live.
And I'm Jennifer Lopez. It's been a busy morning for us. Thanks so much, Stephanie. And again, it is just the start of this. As this storm does move inland, looks like it could just drive right up 35, have a huge impact here across the southern plains.
Yeah, to Stephanie's point, I mean, it's going to take a little time to weaken, too. They still have early Wednesday morning approaching Dallas a tropical depression. So it's possible we could see a tropical system approaching Dallas by midweek. Thereafter, pretty much will weaken, but will be be entangled in a frontal boundary in a mid-latitude system, and then that's going to spread across parts of Oklahoma and then even parts further north.
And this is coming off just a horrendous May with so much rainfall, so an area that does not need more, but they're going to be getting
I mean, the
it.
tropics, to Stephanie's point, they're there for a reason, right? We can bring that tropical moisture to places that need it. They don't need it here, though. They've had their fair share of rainfall in Texas, recording their in parts of Texas, recording their most rainfall they've gotten in the month of May last month, 8 inches or more in parts of the Houston area. I wouldn't get bogged down with the details here. Just anywhere in that orange area, you could see up to a foot of rainfall over the next few days.
All right, and then it's just going to continue. It looks like it could push up into, the Midwest portions of the Ohio Valley by then.
Yeah, and at this point, it's really just the moisture from it that's going to be wrung out across parts of, as you mentioned, even all the way over to the Ohio Valley.
All right, now let's get the latest. And again, we're watching that center, just trying to inch its way closer.
Yeah, it's really interesting, Jen, when you watch these centers, when they come ashore, they tend to stair step. They don't really move in a straight line. They kind of do this. They climb their way to the coast, and also they kind of hiccup. They slow down a little bit as they approach the coast. So that's why this one, not quite yet making landfall, but that heavy rain band already now pushing ashore, seeing wind gusts to nearly 40 miles per hour in Port Lavaca, where we have Dave Malkoff. So
and that's a little bit inland. Port
Yes.
Lavaca is somewhere in the inland areas. We still have Matagorda Island out here, kind of probably even getting maybe some stronger
and
winds.
that's why Dave is starting. Even though the tides are going out a little bit, the winds are picking up. So he's getting more of that storm surge, the push of water along the coastline. So the coastal flooding threat not over with here near Port O'Connor.
All right, thank you so much, Michael. Something we're going to continue to watch. Kate?
Yeah, as we track Tropical Storm Bill, just probably within landfall in an hour in Texas. Right now, the threat of major flooding is going to be our biggest concern. We're going to help you